What is good, everyone? What is good, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? It's Sunday night, man. It's Sunday night. You know what that means? We are getting ready for game one of the MLB National League Championship Series. That is the Mets and the Dodgers. We are live. Black Baseball Mixtape is live. The game is going on. I'm excited. And we're about to go live on Instagram, on YouTube. We're going to talk about it all. Before we do, let me take care of a little bit of business on the podcast, which is always the Black Baseball Mixtape podcast is brought to you in partnership with Stilo Sports, the Players Alliance, Orencia 21, Numbers Game Scorecards, and Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds. Those last two, when you talk about Number Game Scorecards and Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, there is a special discount code. That discount code is Black Baseball Mixtape or BBM. If you use that code, not only will you get a discount on the product, you will also help support this podcast and platform. Everyone, if you have not been following, we have been going live every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Sunday. And last Sunday, I bought a very special guest with us, and he is back this week as well. We are going to be talking all things MLB playoffs with the homie, Lewis Brinson. Lewis,
What's
welcome
happening?
back to the mixtape, my guy. I am so excited to have you on.
What's going on? Good to be back. Good to be talking baseball again, man. Last Sunday was fun, man, and can't wait to see what we got in store today.
Well, we got all of it because we are going to get right into it. The games are live. First pitch is coming up in LA. This is the New York Mets versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. Game one is about to take place. The pitching matchup for the Mets is Cody Singa versus for the Dodgers, Jack Flaherty. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about this series, but before we really get into Mets Dodgers, I want you, Lewis, to go back and talk to me about what I think was the marquee matchups of all the playoffs so far. When we were talking about that bloodbath 5 games between the Dodgers and the Padres, and we're talking about the Mets taking out the Phillies. I want you to start wherever you want to start, Lewis, because
Yeah.
both of those series were exciting, good for the game of baseball. Like, shoot that excitement into my veins. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Dodgers Padres or the Mets Phillies? Because I want you to talk about it.
Yeah. Let's start Dodgers Padres, man.
What a series!
That
What a
what a
series!
series. I thought. I mean, I think everybody thought that the Padres were going to pull that out. But
Did
I
you?
think
You
they.
thought so?
I thought they were going to pull it out. I thought they were like, man, Big Brother, you ain't Big Brother no more. Like we've caught up, we've grown up, we've been eating our Wheaties, we've been working out, we've been hitting the gym on the low, we've been going, we've been going hard for a minute, and now we're ready to step up and take control of the West and show the Dodgers that we can get past them. And I think they just ran out of steam, man. They like they came out hot. Obviously,
Yep.
first
Yep.
couple games is like punching the Dodgers in the mouth. Big home runs by Tatis, big home runs by Machado. Merrill was getting his hits when he needed
Yep.
to. The pitching was shutting them down when they needed to, and their bullpen was doing their thing, and it just for whatever reason like they just kind of ran out of wind. I don't know what happened. Like the
So
last
what
couple,
do you think it happened? Because I'll tell you what we saw what happened. Everybody
yeah.
saw what happened when we went, hey, look, Padres 2-1 lead going
Mm-hmm.
into San Diego, that second game in San Diego. Dodgers are like, this is a bullpen game.
Yeah.
And that, I think that was their shot, because if they didn't win game 4, then
Mm-hmm.
you have to go to game 5 in LA, which they did. So they don't
Was
win the bullpen game without Freddie Freeman, by the way, right?
mm-hmm.
So Freddie Freeman's sitting out. The Dodgers are doing a bullpen game. The Padres are up 2-1 in San Diego, and they don't win that game. And it goes to game 5, and you
Mm-hmm.
just, now and again, I do think you're, what's the word? You're confident even in game 5 because you've got Yu Darvish on the hill. But who would have thought you got 5 lights out innings from Yamamoto?
Yeah, I mean he definitely stepped up when he needed to, and I faced Yamamoto in Japan, and he's valid for sure. I've told everybody, they're like,
You
man, what you
you
got on
mentioned
your
that on the last podcast. You told me about
Yeah,
that
I
because I
faced
was
him and
like, "Is this a smoke screen?" Right?
he's got big game stuff. And
Yeah.
I think the Padres had something on him. And they might have fixed it. They might have sat him down and fixed it. I don't know what it was or what it could have been. But big league hitters and big league scouts and hitting coaches pick up on stuff really easy.
Hmm.
I think they might have had some on him, or they just one of those teams like an elite pitcher. They just have those teams that just have their number at that point. And the Padres had his number all year. And he came out in Game 5 and had that ace and show why they paid him all that money and shut the Padres down, man. He had everything. He had the split working, he had the fastball up in the zone working. Like he just had everything clicking that day. And he went in with a mindset of like, nah, I'm gonna show these guys like, yeah, y'all going home. Y'all going home early. And he definitely had that mindset going into that game. So, but like you said, man, going back, they had the bullpen game 4. You think, all right, we're at home. We got to close this out game 4. We got the bullpen day. Bullpen stepped up for the Dodgers.
Yep.
And then game 5, you go back. If you go game 5 back in Dodger Stadium, that place was rocking. You don't know who's going to step up. And then you got Kike Hernandez, who has
Right.
14
Right.
postseason homers.
Yeah.
I think,
They were
yeah, most
they
of active
ran a
players.
stat. They ran a stat that said Kiki Hernandez is a more dangerous postseason hitter than Manny Ramirez.
Seriously,
It's
He's got
insane.
14 pumps in the
Right.
postseason. He's just big. I mean, he just got clutch gene. Those are guys that normally don't step up. Which I mean, I guess he's not like a eye popper superstar, and he wasn't really an everyday player during the season, but like you
Right.
just have these guys that just step up in the playoffs, man. Their number is called, and obviously he's familiar with that stadium, that fan base, that coaching staff. Everybody knows like, all right, Kike is reliable, and he
Yep.
showed it, man. Darvish left him a cookie over the middle, tried to get ahead with the 0 fastball, and sent it in the seats, and it just snowballed from there. And I've been telling people about Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
Teoscar Hernandez is serious. I think everybody in baseball knows it, but I think fans don't really like because he hides in that lineup, dude. Like you got
I
Otani.
was just saying
Obviously, Freddie's out.
anybody would when you're
Yeah.
talking about Otani, Mookie, and Freddie. But
Hmm.
Teoscar Hernandez all season has been kind of in the middle of that lineup, right? That's been
Yeah,
6 months.
bro. He's 35, 34 homers, I think.
Yeah.
Close to I don't know, close to 90 RBIs, I think. And I played against him in the minors. Played against each other in Double A, and he was dangerous back then. He was playing on the same team as Alex Bregman. They were in Corpus Christi. I'm like, who the hell is this kid? Teoscar Hernandez, and goes up to the big leagues, and then just goes from team to team and just rakes. And he,
He
like I
just
said, he hides. What's he in six in that lineup? Or not
Yeah,
now because
he
Freddie's
hits
out,
fifth,
but
six. He hits right in the middle of that lineup, and you're right. It's 33 home runs for Teoscar, 99 RBI. So he's
dude,
literally in the
almost 100
RBI.
RBIs in that lineup. I mean, those guys are getting on base in front of him, but still.
Yeah, but he's right behind Shohei's at 130 RBIs. Teoscar for the regular season was at 99 RBIs. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
more
he's
than
serious.
that's more
He's
than Freddie.
serious.
That's more than Mookie. Like Teoscar Hernandez is a serious hitter.
100%, man. And you have those two guys step up, and the Dodgers kind of caught wind, and that's all the offense they needed. And the bullpen just came. Yamamoto did his job, 5 innings, and then their bullpen is as dominant as anybody's bullpen, and they're still missing a couple pieces down there, but they're as dominant as anybody. And again, man, they showed it, and Big Brother stepped up.
So let me go
Moving
to the
on.
comments really quick because Mac Pepperboy
Mm-hmm.
says Padres got cocky and cold at the same time.
A
They
little
definitely
bit.
got cold because if you look at game 4 and game 5, they did
Mm-hmm.
not score a run.
Yeah.
They did not score a run in game 4 or game 5.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know the energy. Now and again, I'm selfish. I love the headlines. I love the energy. Manny Machado, for Tatis, shoot it directly into my veins because I want all of the back and forth. I want all the drama because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely. It's a
But
rivalry for a good reason.
did the Padres think? Do you think some of those antics got the best of them as well? Because again, it was some chirping, it was some
Mm-hmm.
showboating on both sides. Don't get me wrong, but it looked like the Padres were on a mission, like you said, to prove that they were not little brother. They
Mm-hmm.
were, equally up to the task. And it just seems as if, like, again, they got cold, but they also got there
A
was
little
some
too cocky.
there was some. Do you think they got cocky, or do you think you're as a person that's played at the highest level, Lewis? We always say, when we're talking about what we want dogs. We want
Mm-hmm.
guys with attitude. We want guys with
Yeah.
confidence. Those were the Padres for the first
Mm-hmm.
3 games. Can that get the best of you? Like, can you get caught up in that more than performing on the field?
I think if you let it, I think the Padres, like I said, I like that take. Like they were a little, they got cocky and cold at the same time. And with the Dodgers, I think they just killed them with calmness. I think they were like, listen, we're the Dodgers. You know, we know we've been here before. We know what we're doing. Let them hoorah and yell at us and
We're
do
the
all the
pros.
bat flips and the back flips and the yelling at us all they want. At the end, we know what we need to do to get this done. The Dodgers have been there, man. They've been there a lot over the
Yep.
last decade. They've been there a lot, and they've been in these games a lot, and they know what to do when their backs are against the wall, and they just keep adding pieces onto that. So I think that, like I said, the little brother got a little too cocky too early, maybe too much at the beginning, and the Dodgers like, all right, cool, y'all got that game. All right, cool. Go to your stadium. You guys are hyped. Tatis hits the first inning home run. Everybody's hyped. And then the next game, you got the bullpen game, and rest is history. But I think the Dodgers just killed them with calmness a little bit. They knew it wasn't going to be easy series. Everybody knew it wasn't going to be easy series, but the Dodgers just came out and, like I said, killed them with calmness. They were smooth with it. They were like, all right, man, we not let you guys have those first 2 games. Obviously, you would love to
Right.
sweep them.
No, they were good.
Um,
Yeah, they were good
but
games.
at
They
the
were
end
good
of the
games.
day, they just like I said, they just killed them with calmness, man. They were like, all right, let's do what we do. We've been here before, and let's knock these guys out.
So before we move on, before we move on to the talking a little bit about the Mets, Phillies, and kind of what that
Hmm.
meant for baseball, we've gone back and forth. You were on last Sunday, but you weren't on during the week. We've gone every which way from Tuesday about the Jackson Parfar. The catch, then the
Yeah,
stare down,
yeah.
and then the throw. I personally have said, hey, look, it got me up. It got me excited. It got me hyped. There are people that literally were climbing through the screen to tell me how bush league that play was, and they
Hmm.
hated it and didn't like it. And you obviously later in the game, the cops are lining the field because the Dodger
They
fans weren't
started
playing that.
throwing
They start
stuff.
throwing
Yeah.
things on the field. When you saw that highlight, when you saw that play, what was your first reaction? Was it, oh, that's pretty cool, or was that, oh, that's bush league?
I'm not gonna say bush league, but I personally didn't like it. I think in playing the outfield and hearing people chirp, especially playing the outfield in Dodger Stadium and these different stadiums, people say craziness out there. People say all kinds of crazy stuff to you. They call you names. They do research on your mom and your dad and your grandfather and your country, and they do their
Sophisticated,
homework. So I'm sure
sophisticated.
they were yelling some stuff at him. It's a rivalry. You're in Dodger Stadium, and those Dodger Stadium outfield bleachers are full of real ones out there. So
Mhm.
they say whatever they want. I'm sure they were chirping at him, so he catches that. That's a big home run against Mookie Betts in the playoffs. I just robbed Mookie Betts. I just took it out of this dude's nachos, man. So I'm sure he was pretty hype, and then he turned around and he didn't say anything. It just from the camera angle. I don't think he said something. I think he just stared at him like, yeah, I just caught that. And obviously hostile environment. People are drinking. People are full of adrenaline. It's a back and forth series. People are going to say some stuff and take offense to that. So then you get in the game now, later in the game, on a serious note, Dodger fans, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Straight up.
Mm.
Like, you don't throw baseballs, you don't throw nothing at players on the field. We're not zoo animals. We're not animals for you guys. Yeah, you guys come to the game to be entertained and watch a great sport and great things happen on the field, but at the same time, like, respect what we're doing out there and respect us as human beings. Don't just throw stuff on the field. Like, I was pretty pissed off about that. Just being an outfielder myself, and
Right.
obviously been out there and hearing all kinds of craziness. But I don't know what I would have done if somebody threw something at me. You
And
know
it
what
was
I'm
like,
saying? And
yeah, it was a
they
lot of
throwing
things
the
that were going
baseballs
out
at him,
there.
man.
Yeah,
Like, what the
yeah,
hell? What
yeah.
are we doing? And then
Yeah.
Tatis is getting, boos, and he's getting trash thrown at him, and it got way too out of hand. So Dodger fans, like whoever did throw that baseball, whoever is throwing stuff, you can say
Yeah.
all that you want. I don't care what you say. I'll let it go in one ear out the other. I might even interact. What I have found is fans appreciate and when you engage with them. So like
Mhm.
if I've gotten all kinds of names and calls in the book from all kinds of fans in the outfield. But the most time the when I would have the most success with fans and I'll get them on my off my back is when I pay attention to them.
Mhm.
And I'll actually like, oh man, that was a good one, or I'll turn around like act like that hurt my feelings when I could care less, bro. I'm in the big leagues, you're in the stands watching me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I could care less what you have to say about my mom, my hair,
Right.
my pay, my legs. I could care less, bro. So I found it fun, but in a hostile environment like that, I mean, you saw you got some alcohol flowing, and
Yeah.
people start think they get a little liquid courage, and I'm sure Profile was saying some stuff to them back and tripping back at them, and it happened what it happened. But I do like the rivalry aspect of it, and the fact that it was definitely a hostile environment in LA. But yeah.
So let me ask you this, because you mentioned it and it's noteworthy. When do you start to turn that off? When do you learn to have that kind of mechanism to say, okay, I'm going to be out here and none of this stuff is going to bother me because
Mm,
I'm at the highest. Because again, you might get something chirping in little league, college if you're playing the right
yeah.
Division 1 college baseball. You might have a bleacher situation where a bunch of college kids are heckling you, but that's not an everyday thing. It's not even an everyday thing in affiliate ball when it's just like constantly an intense level of heckling until you get to the major leagues, because that's
Right.
the only place where, not maybe not only, but the majority of Major League Baseball stadiums are going to have seats back there. So
Mm,
they're going to have sophisticated fans back there.
right. Right.
How did you, throughout your career, when did you learn, like, oh, this is just part of the course? I'm going to have to, like, either pay attention to it or ignore it. But at the very least, I know it can't bother me. It can't throw me off my
Mm.
game.
I mean, in the minor leagues too. I mean, guys will tell you in the minor leagues you hear some of the worst stuff,
Mm,
honestly, because you're not on TV. There's not a whole lot of security in big league parks. There's a bunch of security, and they have
mm.
cameras, and they got
That makes sense.
audio,
That
and
makes sense.
yeah. So in the minor leagues, in these little small towns, man, you hear all kinds of stuff, all craziness you hear in some of these
Okay.
ballparks. So I mean, in the minor leagues, you really get used to it, and then obviously in the fans, you got fans in the big leagues, you got fans behind you.
Yeah.
So they're yelling all kind of stuff at you too, but it's a little bit more respectful, a little, just like a smidge more respectful, just because it's the big leagues. And I don't know, but I have heard some craziness. I've heard some craziness in New York, Philly, San Francisco, Dodger Stadium, Wrigley Field, like all over. You hear craziness. So you just that's part of it. And like I said, I've learned over the years to just entertain them back. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody says something mad, like real disrespectful, like I'll turn
Right.
around like, hey man, relax, dog. Because like people also like obviously as professional athletes, we're supposed to keep our composure. We're supposed to just focus on the game, ignore all the BS that's going behind us and what people are saying. But at the same time, we're human beings. We have ears. We can hear you talking about our sons and our daughters and our moms
That's
and people that
crazy.
mean very much to us. And you act, and sometimes fans get a little, they kind of lose the fact that we're actual human beings
Right.
instead of just professional athletes that aren't supposed to react to anything, because if we react, we're the ones that get in trouble, not the fan.
Right.
Sometimes the fan gets caught and he gets kicked out, which is rightfully so, but we're supposed to keep our cool and not say anything back, not obviously go in the stands. But some of these fans need to calm down, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you see some of us in the street and we're 6'5", 6'6". You're like, hey man, I love you, great game. It's like, weren't you the dude that said my mom was a loser or something? Like, did you just call me a name out there? Didn't you talk about my son in the outfield? Like, bro, get out my face.
Jeez.
So, I mean, you just learn to let it go in one or the other, or one ear out the other, or you heckle back, or you just play better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've hit home runs and pointed at fans in the outfield like, "Hey, that was for you, dog." So, I mean, you pick your poison with fans in the outfield. But I've never, obviously, the only time I've been in the playoffs, there were no fans in the stands, so
Right.
I couldn't. There was no really
There's no
hostile
real
environments.
playoff
Yeah,
intensity. Yeah. But
yeah.
that's interesting, man, because that's it. I do think that as you go through, people that grow through that career and get to that level, there's an expectation on them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an expectation, like you said, that they can take all of this stuff and
Right.
not let it bother them and then perform at the highest level. And in reality, Jackson Merrill's what, 21 years old, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? These are
Yeah.
there's some of these guys are very young, and
Yeah.
you're expecting them to be very mature. I often think about our buddy James Wood, and I think
Mm-hmm.
about Lawrence Butler, and I think about some of our super young players that are in the outfield that have to deal with Lord knows what, and the expectation on them is that they're the professional and they have to take it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
just crazy. Interesting though, because again, as a fan, I'm liking the bravado, if you will, between both of these teams. And again, a lot of it was, like you said, the Padres kind of trying to push and rattle the feathers of Big Brother. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, when you have Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, when you
The
have those
professional
guys,
of professionals, bro.
you're not. I mean,
Professionals of
again, and it's
professionals.
not even just that they're so good. It's just those three personalities.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see them rattle.
Yeah.
Like, and even if you get, not pitching, but if you even take a guy like a clubhouse leader like Kershaw, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get those guys off their game very often.
Right. Right.
But I will tell you, Manny Machado tried.
Manny Machado
Freddy
tried.
Tatis
Tatis
tried.
tried. Profar
Burkhardt
tried.
tried. And so hats
Yeah.
off to him, man.
That's how they play, though. That's
I'm
their
excited about
personality. That's how
I'm
they
excited about the
play. Yeah.
future. I
Yeah.
think this series makes me want to see them play next year,
And they
right?
will. They'll be
and
back.
and and
Yeah.
that gets me excited. Like there was about I would say through those A-Rod, Jeter, Manny, there was those Boston Yankee series
Mm-hmm.
where it didn't matter if it was spring training, it didn't matter if it was regular season. You knew they were going to meet in the postseason, and there
Yeah.
was like a 2 or 3 year span there with Ortiz and Ramirez and Pedro. You wanted to see the Yankees play the Red Sox, like
Mm-hmm.
you just wanted it, and I feel like that's where we're heading with some of the San Diego, Los Angeles stuff. Like you want to see these guys if they're going to be on the team. Merrill, Machado, Tatis,
Yeah.
they're going to be on the team along with the big three in LA. You're going to want to see them in the future, and I'm excited about that. Let's switch gears because as we speak now, the game is underway, and it's almost blasphemous to call them the Miracle Mets, but the Mets took out the Phillies. And at this
Mm-hmm.
point, when do you start feeling bad for the Phillies? Because I'm starting to feel bad for the Phillies, even though I'm not a Phillies fan. But
Mm-hmm.
it just seems like they keep coming up short in the most weird ways humanly possible in the playoffs. Hats
Yeah.
off to the Mets. Another year of waiting to see if Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Cal Schwarber can get it done. But when you looked at that series, what stood out to you besides the fact that the Mets are just scorching hot?
Yeah, man. The Mets just have that. They just got that mojo right now, man. In the playoffs, it's all about momentum. And the Mets came in the playoffs with the momentum, and they're riding that all through. If they make it to the World Series, man, and they're just hot. It's really not about who's the better team. It's about who's hotter. Like who's hotter at the right time. Who's getting hot at the right time. And the Phillies were not hot at the right time. I had the
Right.
Phillies going to the World Series. I had them winning the World Series. I thought it was their time. But the Mets proved like, listen, man, it's just baseball gods have other plans,
Hmm.
and the Mets. I mean, they have Lindor is stepping up as leader one. Like he is the leader of that clubhouse. I'm pretty sure he's managing that team, um, even though. Their manager has done a great job, and then Pete Alonso. If Pete Alonso starts going opposite field consistently like that, it's gonna be a problem. And then you got my boy Mark Viento stepping up. Another
Yep.
young dude, another really young guy, but he worked his butt off, and I witnessed it this offseason. He worked his butt off, and he's earned every bit of success this year. He has earned, Just from seeing him this offseason, just seeing him in person, he worked his butt off, man, and he deserves everything he's going to get. So I'm very happy and proud of Mark Vientos. Just want to say that.
Vientos
Shout
is
out
a
to Mark.
guy like maybe a little bit premature overall in the grand scheme of things for
Hmm.
what the Mets were looking for.
Yeah,
Uh, maybe a little bit premature given who they thought who was going to step up. I think they started the regular season with Brett Beatty, right, playing
with
third
Brett
base.
Beatty. Yeah,
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 yeah. But Vientos is, I think, proven as a young player that's going to just stay. Like I
yeah.
think he's just
That's
going
his
to
spot.
stay,
That's
and
his spot to lose at this point. That he's a starting third baseman.
he's
You know.
starting third baseman, and it's still
Yeah.
look. It's not perfect. There were some defensive plays there, right,
Yeah.
during the
Can
series
work
that
on that. Yeah.
they're going to work on, and he's a young player. He's going to constantly get better. Let me ask you this because I want to go to the chat. There was a good question in the
Hmm.
chat from Mark Molly. What crowd do you think is tougher for opposing teams? The LA Dodgers crowd or the New York Mets crowd in center field?
Hmm. Um. I don't know, man. The Mets. I've just played the Mets more, and they got more on me. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard some craziness in City Field. My rookie year, I heard, and Cam Maven can vouch for this because he was playing left. I heard somebody say, "Hey, Brinson, go back to Compton." I was like, "What?" Like I'm from Fort Lauderdale. It
Love it.
says it right up there when I come hit,
Nope.
but it craziness. Like what?
I
Like
love it. I
huh?
love that though. I love the
Yeah, I mean,
intelligent. I love
it's
the
like I turned around to like so confused and like laughed because you can't get mad at that. It's like
right.
what did you just say? So I mean, the Dodgers, it just feels like you're on a stage. Like you playing center field there, you feel like you're literally. I feel like every position because I played left, I played right, center in that stadium, and it feels like you're on a stage. And obviously in the box, it feels like you're on a stage and there's 50,000 people watching you at every
Mhm.
position that you're at.
Mhm.
And in the outfield, the fans are right there on top of you, and they're yelling all kinds of stuff at you. But just with maybe the atmosphere, um, I'd say the Dodgers,
Yep. That's
just
where I was
because
going.
their team's nasty, and so are the Mets. But I don't know. The Mets fans are just nasty, like just gross. Like they'll just yell just anything at you. And they're New Yorkers, man. You know, New Yorkers. They don't really care that much.
I'm
So they'll they'll throw anything at you. They'll say anything. But I think the Dodgers, just for in this, particular talking about the playoffs. I think the
Yep.
Dodgers, just because the Mets haven't had it in a while, but they're gonna be rocking in City Field when they go back to New York.
So based off the environment, and again, you gotta X this up just a little bit because of the Padres rivalry, especially that game five.
Hmm.
Um, but looking at kind of the home playoff environment over the last couple of years, I would say that the kind of electricity, the it factor, like Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium
Hmm.
in the playoffs is just an extremely hype place to be.
It's
It is
different.
it is
Yeah,
it
it's
is
gotta be
a
different.
tough environment to play in, and it's just difficult, man. LA's kind of used to it, but it is a difficult thing. Now, what I will say is that I think Citizens Bank, let me just see really quick. Is it still bases loaded? Bases loaded, 2 outs, Max Muncy's up. They got Teoscar out, I guess. But
Uh,
bases loaded, bottom of the first, 2 outs, and Max Muncy's up. So we'll see what happens here. But I was going with the bank in Philadelphia as like kind of the toughest home field advantage. Citizen
I
Bank
would say
Park in
that too.
Philly
Yeah,
was pretty
yeah.
amazing. We talked about it. The environment, if you will, in LA, I thought was extremely lit. The interesting thing, and I'm gonna do that now, and it's almost a social experiment. We were talking about this in the group chat during the game. So in game five, I'm in the group chat, the Black Baseball Mixtape group chat, which is absolutely
Hmm.
free for anybody that wants to join. All you got to do is message BBM. We'll send you a link to the group chat. But we saw, now this is crazy. Work with me on this, Lewis, because I'm looking at all of these crowd shots in LA
Hmm.
in game five, and I'm seeing groups, obviously, of Asian fans, Shohei jerseys, Shohei hats. I'm seeing groups of Latino fans because obviously Latino Dodgers fans roll super deep in
Mm-hmm.
LA. Obviously, there's obviously a lot of white fans there as well. More shout out to them. I was hard pressed to find black baseball fans and families in LA in the crowd shots. Now they showed LeBron, they showed Magic Johnson, but I
Mm-hmm.
was like, bro, where are like black baseball fans? Now and again, there could be a number of reasons. The price tickets in the playoffs are extremely high. I know that, but I was like, bro, I'm looking all around, and it was very hard to find like black baseball fans in LA. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean,
It's tough.
we're gonna keep. Yeah, we're gonna keep talking. Like, if we're being honest, like, just obviously we love baseball. You know,
No,
baseball
but
is our life. But
go ahead. But I'm gonna
black
say it
black
was
people
not,
don't like baseball like that.
bro. I understand what you're saying, but I looked at the games in Philly. I looked at the games in New York. I looked at the games in Detroit. I looked at the games in Cleveland, and
Yeah,
you could see black baseball fans. I think it's
yeah.
in LA. I think it's something specific to the Dodgers games.
Right. I don't know. It could be the ticket prices. It could
I don't
be,
know. We've got to
Chavez.
explore this.
It's just too far from where
Like,
most black people live in L.A.
it could
Maybe
be. I want, if people are in the
I don't
chat,
know.
you can call me crazy. Look at the audience today. Game 1, New York Mets, Dodgers is going on right now.
Yeah.
Tell me how many like like not famous people, but like
Hmm.
fans and like families and like kids and things like that you see when they're skating in the crowd. Like, I mean, I could be crazy. I could be crazy. But game 5, me and my friends were like, yo, this, because they showed the crowd so much. They showed the
Hmm.
crowd when, Shohei comes up, they're showing crowd shots, and everybody, you're looking at home runs being robbed, you're looking at who's in right field, who's in left field. And I remember, my mind goes back to 2 years ago when the All-Star game was in LA and Mookie wears this shirt. We need more black people in Dodger Stadium. He wore it.
Hmm.
And they asked him about it, and he said, hey, look, everybody else is representing out here. We need to get our people to represent as well. And I was like, yo, it was glaring to me in this playoff series.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just don't think that they like baseball like that out there.
That's
And
crazy.
I agree with Mookie. You would love to see, especially him playing right. You would love to
Yeah.
see a group of black people, at the game, so you can maybe throw them a ball and interact with them, and maybe give them a shout out, because there's not a whole lot of. You go to any stadium, it's not a whole lot of black people at these games. Let's be honest.
Look, but
No
we're
matter
in
where
L.
you
Look,
are, maybe
look.
Atlanta is a little bit more,
No,
but
and look, I'm telling you, when I went to Baltimore, I went to
Baltimore,
Baltimore.
but
There,
it's Baltimore though, man.
look. This is what we're gonna do, Lewis. This is what we're gonna do. We know. Look, who's out there? LeBron and Maverick Carter and all of them. What is uninterrupted? They're out there. We look. If we need to figure out a way next season to get groups of black people to Dodger Stadium. We got to figure this out, Mav.
If y'all can figure it
On this.
out,
Let's
yeah, if
work
y'all
on
figure it
this.
out, I'm behind it. I'm behind it.
Hopefully one day we'll be able to figure out how to throw down the gauntlet and make this happen. I'm sure there's a program in place. Somebody's gonna
I'm sure there's a
somebody's gonna
program in
email me
place.
this week. Somebody's gonna email me this week and say, these are all the kids, Boys and Girls Club kids or something. We're taking to Dodger Stadium. This is our program. I would like to know. You know what? I'm gonna do something, Lewis. I'm gonna try to find, as when we go through the 2025 Major League Baseball season. I don't know if we do it through the Players Alliance or something, but I'm gonna try to find who the organizations are in a lot of these stadiums that are taking groups of African American kids, underserved kids to the games. I get there's got to be something, right? There's got to
There's
be something.
gotta be
We'll figure it
something.
out. We'll
It's
figure it
on
out.
its way up. It's on the up and
It's
up
on its
for
way
sure.
up. All right,
Yeah.
let me switch gears because we were talking
Mhm.
about the Mets and how hot they were and them taking out the Phillies, and you talked about Lindor. This was a conversation that we had too that I want to get your take on. Do you think? And I'll preference it with this. In 2024, the top 5 jersey
Mhm.
sales in MLB. Shohei was number 1, Bryce Harper was number 2, Aaron Judge was number 3, Mookie Betts was number 4, Francisco Lindor was number 5, which was surprising to me. He wasn't even
Mhm.
in the top 20 the year before that. He's got the top 5 selling jersey this season. Let me ask you, do you think Francisco Lindor is a player that can actually carry like be the face of Major League Baseball.
I mean, at a point he was with the Cleveland Indians.
You think
He
so? No, he was
he
never
wasn't
the
the
face
face.
of Major
He
League
wasn't the
Baseball.
face, but he was one of them. He was one of them. I mean, look back with the Indians, man. He like helped them. Him and J Ram helped them get to the World Series against the Cubs. I mean, big part of that. Big home run in that series too.
Yep.
There was a point where he was the best shortstop in the game.
Oh, absolutely,
I'd say.
absolutely.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And the best shortstop in the game got to be sort of kind of somewhat of the face of baseball. You know, shortstop being a very
Interesting.
athletic
All right, good
and main
point. Good
position.
point.
You know what I'm saying? So like I think I don't know going forward just because he's getting older and not putting up the numbers that he did, but I mean he had an MVP caliber season this
Yep.
year. I'm not gonna say he can't be. I'm not gonna say Lindor can't do anything. You know what I'm saying on a baseball
good,
field,
good point.
especially.
Good point.
So I wouldn't say I would say yes and no. You know, we'll see how the rest of his career goes. I think he's starting to hit a up and up again because I mean Lindor's had a lot of pressure on, dude. You get signed by the Mets, already a
Mm.
tough organization to play for.
Yep.
They give you $300 million.
Yep.
You don't get off to a good start. You're making errors at shortstop. I mean, he's always played a solid shortstop, but then you got the media. Any questions about what's going on in the clubhouse, they go to Francisco Lindor. Anything about his defense, about his hitting, about why he's not hitting, why he's not doing this, that, and the third, he's got to answer that.
Yep.
He's a leader in that clubhouse. Everybody looks to him to, hey, what's wrong with the Mets? And they go straight
Yep.
to Francisco Lindor. He's just a leader. He's just a kind of unpronounced leader of that team, and you could see it. And he's a very likable guy, I think,
Yep.
around the league and around fan bases. Maybe not around maybe Philly or in rival or in house in the NL East, but like he's a likable dude, and that you could just tell that he just works. He works hard. He wants to give 110% out there. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He plays his butt off for whatever team he's on, and people respect that, man. But to answer your question again, man, I don't think he is the face of baseball, or maybe could be the
No,
face of baseball. But
well, the good part is he doesn't have to be, and what I mean
no,
by
he
that
doesn't.
is
Definitely doesn't have to be. There's plenty
no,
of
the good
other
part is
guys that.
Shohei Ohtani is going to be the face of baseball. Period.
Yeah, if not,
He's
he
the
already
face of
is. Yeah.
global. He's the torchbearer. He's the guy that's going to carry the standard. And obviously, the last couple of years, if it's not Shohei, it's Judge. We know that.
Yeah,
Like, we don't
yeah.
he doesn't have to be that
Right.
guy. But what's happened, and I think you were alluding to this, what's happened with Lindor, especially this year, you see it more this year than you've seen it ever before. The guy's just matured.
Yeah.
He's kind of matured before our very eyes. Now the Francisco Lindor you see is Lindor with his wife and his kids. You know what I mean? Like you see this guy who has really become obviously an amazing player. He's always been an amazing player. Like you said, he's an amazing player back in Cleveland. But what you've seen is a maturity, a comfort level, a guy that's around his family, and you know what I mean? Just like a guy that really has come into his own. And I think it took him a while to get used to that pressure cooker that is New York City and what's expected out of that. And if the team's not performing well, everything's looking at him. And maybe he wasn't necessarily coming from Cleveland ready for all of that. But now you kind of find he's just a guy, man, that works hard, performs, and he doesn't have to be kind of everything to all people. He just has to work hard, perform, and like be that guy that's around his family and his kids. And I think it's paid off huge for Lindor.
Huge for him. I think
it's
paid off huge for him. Plus, when he was in Cleveland, I mean, Cleveland's not a huge market, big fan base. But anything you do bad, they're right there with you. They're not booing you every time you strike out.
Yeah.
You make an error, they're not writing bad. So there might be a couple bad apples that write some stuff on X or Instagram or leave a comment or two. But like for the most part, he comes to the ballpark, he jogs out the shortstop, people are cheering him, cheering him on in Cleveland. Totally different story in New York, man. Mets
Totally
fans
different story
and
in New York.
Met fans are brutal. They expect perfection, especially if we give you $300 million. So him coming over there, he thought maybe the smile and I'm a handsome guy, I dress well, I could play shortstop. You gave me 300 mil. I'm an MVP candidate. Just give me some time. And New York's like, nah, bro, you gotta No, 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 no. We're not gonna give you no time. You need to hit 300. You need to hit 30, and you need to steal 30 every year. That's what you came to New York for, and New York, they mean that. So, like him coming over there and from Cleveland, I think he was more so like, whoa, like you hear about it through clubhouses or you play there as a visiting guy, and you're like, man, these fans are brutal, dude. This guy
Yeah,
just he had a bad game. Damn, like give him some time. You
cut him
guys
some
will
slack.
strike out. Don't strike out 3 times if you're a Mets player. They boo you at the end of the game. You could be on a hot streak and you strike out 3 times one game. They're gonna boo you back to the dugout. So I don't
That's
think he
crazy.
was more. I don't think he was ready for that environment and how much pressure that came with. But he obviously we're seeing now. He's like you said, and you go back to saying he's mature. You see the 2 biggest home runs of his life and of the Mets season.
Yep.
He acted like it was, game 22 and they were playing the Washington Nationals and on a Tuesday afternoon. Like he acted like it was nothing.
Yep.
So I think just
He
like the
should.
maturity factor, yeah, is
Yep.
there. And I think he's always had it, but he's like, man, this is what I do. Let's calm down. Let's do the job not finished. And then when we win the game, then I'll let loose.
And shout
But
out to my man JD. JD also noted in the chat there in the comments that he's actually finally healthy. He's been kind of
yeah,
he had
yeah,
some nagging, he had some injuries, then he had some nagging injuries, then he had some
absolutely.
recoveries
Yeah.
and some more nagging. So he's healthy, and now that you're healthy, you're able to see a healthy Lindor, like I said, a
Hmm.
more mature Lindor and a mature. And again, I am still a little surprised about that number. Fifth highest selling jersey of all of 2024 is Francisco Lindor. I'm surprised about that,
I'm a
honestly.
little surprised by that too. But I am and I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
He
Because like you
plays in New
said,
York.
he plays in New York. He's a likable dude. Wears number
Yep.
12. Looks good on the back of a jersey.
So you
Yeah.
talked a little bit about pressure. Let me ask you this too, because it's really interesting. Since we talked a little bit about, we already talked about kind of the Dodgers moving on. We're talking about the Mets now moving on. By the way, the score now is 2-0. Max Muncy. We're talking about all the people that can deliver for the Dodgers. Max Muncy delivered for the Dodgers with the
Deep
bases loaded.
lineup,
He's got
man.
2
Deep
RBI.
lineup.
Yeah.
Deep
Um,
lineup.
who would you say has more pressure to win the World Series this year?
Hmm.
Is it Shohei, Judge, or Lindor?
Judge. And I'll tell you why. Judge has not won a World Series yet, obviously.
Right.
The Yankees get knocked out of the playoffs every year early. Um, the Mets, Lindor I think Lindor's close under him, but they haven't been in the playoffs in a while, and they've spent all this money. They got highest payroll in baseball. They're finally just now getting to the NLCS in this whole regime that they just started. And then Shohei is like, they're like, all right, Shohei doesn't have that much pressure because it's his first playoffs. The Dodgers are probably going to win a World Series in his tenure with the Dodgers. I mean,
Mm.
you would just assume with
Mm.
all those guys that they locked up and the fact that the Dodgers can go get talent and that the fact of the matter he's going to pitch next year. I can't
Yep.
wait.
Yep.
So I think Judge just because it's the Yankees, biggest team in sports across the world. Spotlights on him. He has an MVP caliber season again, but then he's struggling in the playoffs. He doesn't have the best numbers in the playoffs. So I think Aaron Judge might have the most pressure, just because of all the accolades that he already has. And it's like, all right, so, but what about you in the playoffs? You know what I'm saying? You hit 60
Yep.
some, 50
Yep.
some home runs every
Yep.
year, but what about in the playoffs when it actually matters and you're trying to win a ring? You're not stepping up. No disrespect to Judge. I think Judge is going to have a great NLC or ALCS. I think he's going to come
We're gonna
out.
talk about it.
Yeah,
we're,
I
about,
think he's. I
we're
think. I
about to
think. I
talk
think he's
about
gonna
it.
come out of it, man. I think he's gonna come out of it. He's got a couple games under his belt. He's got some pieces around him. John Carlos has stepped up, maybe took a little bit of pressure off him.
He did. I
You
think he
know what I'm
took a lot of
saying?
pressure off him.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna step up in the ALCS. But
When
I
do you?
think I think Aaron Judge has the most pressure on him
I
this
agree with you.
postseason.
I agreed with you earlier this week. I agree with everyone. Flobo mentioned it as well. I agree with everyone that says Judge has the absolute most.
Yeah.
There's just so much expected to Judge. He's been there before. Um, and you're in New York, man. When you're in New York and you're in the Bronx and you're in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and for better or for worse, and I do think the Yankee fans who kind of know the Yankee fans are so sophisticated that they kind of know this team's not perfect, but they also look at the Cleveland team and say, Cleveland, we're expected to beat Cleveland, right? Which obviously you and I know it's going to be a very tough series. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the Yankee fans were looking at that other side of the bracket and saying Detroit, Cleveland, whoever comes out of that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're just gonna put us in the World Series, basically. Let's
Yeah.
see the Dodgers or let's see the Mets or let's see, whoever. So I think Judge has just he always has unrealistic expectations, but I do think he has high expectations. I think he has to win now, and I do think there's going to be a grace period on Shohei. I'm interested for you to find for you to tell me though.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be. It's definitely not this year, even if the Dodgers win or don't win. May not even be next year if Shohei's pitching and he's still doing 40-40 or 50-50. But there's going to be a time down the line somewhere, if he has not won a World Series in LA, when do
Mm-hmm.
you think that temperature on that boiling water gets unbearable? Do you think it's 3 years, 4 years?
On him or the Dodgers?
On Shohei,
On
he's gonna be a
Shohei?
Dodger.
I think it's after if they don't win it this year and next year, the
Then
pressure
it turns
cooker's
up.
on.
The heat turns up.
It's on. It's on. If
Okay, because
they
Judge is in it now. Judge is
yeah.
in it now.
Yeah, he's in that cooker now, but like I think Shohei has that grace period just again because it's his first playoffs. He's a likable guy. People don't like to,
Amazing.
talk mess about Shohei as much, and for what he did in the regular season, I mean, is just unspeakable, unheard of stuff
Right.
that we've never seen before. So people put extra respect on that. But the fact that he's not pitching this year, so I think that's a huge piece that the Dodgers are missing this year. Because if Shohei's pitching, now you got Yamamoto, Shohei, and Flaherty. And then put everybody else in the bullpen. Like I don't want to face that rotation. In a playoff series, are you kidding me? Like no, absolutely no breaks. Absolutely no breaks. And Flaherty's your third out of that. So like um I think next year's a big year. Like especially if they don't win it this year. Now if they win it this year, it don't matter. Like he
Right.
could
He's
go
he's
he can
he's
go
good.
one
He's
and
good to
ten
go.
in the World Series. It's like, all right, we got one. But
Yep.
you expect to with that team, man, you expect to win all every year, especially Dodger fans and the owners. They spend all this money, spend $1 billion on these guys. We expect a couple World Series out of it. But next year for sure, if they don't win this year, a lot of pressure on Shohei for sure.
I like it. And speaking of Shohei, he's delivered an RBI. So the Dodgers in the bottom of the second with one out. There's a runner on first. Um, Dodgers are up 3-0 down. Shohei did get an RBI. So Muncie's got two. Shohei's got one.
I don't think Manaea is a good matchup for them. I said that earlier to myself.
It's
I was like, I don't
Cody
think that's a
Singa.
good matchup for them.
Cody Singa, right? Cody Singa's going.
Oh,
Yeah.
Singa, my bad.
Yeah.
I was looking at it the other day, but Singa, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
he's already out of the game. They put in Garrett. I don't know. Reed
Reed
Garrett.
Garrett. Yeah, I played with him at the Marlins. Shout out to Reed, man. Proud of him. Happy for him.
He's in now. He's in the championship series.
Yeah.
Let's switch to the other side
Mhm.
because you and I both were talking last week about how we think that Cleveland lineup is the truth. Now and again, the Tigers took these guys to 5 games.
Yeah.
Tigers really pushed Cleveland. Cleveland comes out with the Game 5 win. They have moved on. It is going to be Cleveland Yankees. Do we know what the pitching matchup is going to be for Game 1? Let me see. I think I know it. It is
Not
going to
sure. I think
be
Rodon and somebody.
Yep,
Maybe?
it's going to be Alex Cobb for Cleveland. It is going to be
Alex
Carlos
Cobb.
Rondon. Game 1 is tomorrow at 7:30. What do we make? What do you make? Because again, I think this is going to be a very good series. This
Mhm.
might be a 7-game series. I just love the makeup of the Cleveland Guardians. I love what they do. Obviously, I love their bullpen,
Yeah.
and I do think that the Yankees, if they get going, they're gonna be tough. But I don't think this is a game. The Yankees are the betting favorite, which I never usually see, but I saw it this time. The Yankees are the betting favorite to win the series against the Guardians, -175. But that might be smart money on Cleveland. I don't know. What do you make of this series, Lewis?
Yeah, I think it'll go. I got it going at least 5 or 6 games. Cleveland's gonna give them everything they got, man. They got a deep lineup too. It's a very quiet deep lineup, not as pronounced and not as many superstars as the Yankees, obviously, but um, unsung heroes. We talk about unsung heroes, man. The unexpected guys. Lane Thomas, 2 huge home runs in the DS.
Yep.
Big grand,
Big grand
yeah,
slam.
big
Yep.
grand
Game
slam
five.
in Game 5 against Skubal, arguably best pitcher in baseball. Um, so I mean, he's not scared. Josh Naylor still hasn't gotten going, but you know, I think he hits well against the Yankees. You remember that one series where he did the rock the baby. So I think
I do.
around first off Cole.
I do. I do. I didn't
So
like it either, but I remember
I
it.
didn't like that either, but he's nuts, so I'm not gonna tell him what to do. He's absolutely crazy.
I like it.
So if he gets going, Steven Kwan's hitting 800. So he's gonna be on base, and then J Ram,
So
if J
good.
Ram gets going, yeah, and then that shortstop, I forget his last name. They're the Cleveland shortstop right now.
Oh,
Um,
it's a good question.
hitting
I don't know.
ninth. Forget his
Uh,
name.
I don't know. I don't know.
Um, but he's good, sneaky, like at the bottom of that lineup. And then, I mean, the other guys just kind of play their role. But if those like 5 guys can get it going, hitting's contagious. Anybody knows, guys that have played, hitting is very, very contagious, and it could happen in a blink of an eye. Stephen Kwan gets on, then you got Jose get on, he hits a double, steals third. Like, it could happen really, really fast. So I think this is gonna be a really good series, but there's got to be guys that step up, like in the DS for the Yankees. You got Giancarlo. He stepped up, hitting 375 in the playoffs right now. Soto's gonna get on base. Hasn't like torn the cover off the ball, but I mean Soto's gonna give you a great at bat every time he gets up there. I think Jazz has to step up, and I think he will. I think Jazz has really got to step up and start to get on base and wreak some havoc on the base pass against Cleveland. Glaber, Verdugo has good numbers in the playoffs. Just guys have to step up around Soto and Judge because again, you're circling. I think you're circling Judge. Like, we're not going to let this guy beat us because we
Right.
know that Glaber is you know kind of getting in the playoffs and hitting hitting. I feel like he could do a little bit better at the leadoff spot, but he'll get on base every now and then. And
Yeah,
then you
I mean,
got
I remember. I watched the Royal series. He got on base.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you got Soto, and Soto's going to give you a great at bat. So you don't want those 2 guys on and then let Judge get hot and let that guy beat you. So the fact that Stanton is behind him, protecting him, and actually doing what he needs to do, and then and Wells too, the
Yep.
catcher.
Austin Wells. Yep.
He's got to step up. So there's guys just around those main players that just have to step up, man. They gotta step up, and then the bullpen doing their job, and starters doing their job, and everything will fall into place. But name of the game is scoring runs. So
Who do you like in the series? I know
I
both teams.
like
Like
the
I said.
Yankees. I
Okay.
like the Yankees in the series, but I'm scared of the Cleveland Guardians. Like, I think the Guardians could surprise everybody. Everybody do not be surprised if the Cleveland Guardians go to the World Series. I'm just
Right.
saying that. I have the Yankees personally
Yep.
outlasting them, but I would not be shocked if the Cleveland Guardians take this series.
I wouldn't be either. I mean, I selfishly, I've said this publicly. I'm rooting for the Yankees Dodgers in the World Series, not because of anything other than I want to see Shohei, I want to see Judge, I want to see the biggest stars in
Yeah.
baseball on the biggest platform, because I think that's how we selfishly, that's how we take some of the narrative back, right? In this time of year where everybody's talking about the NFL or preseason
Hmm.
NBA or even the
Yep.
WNBA finals. We have had a playoff series. We've had a playoffs in baseball, in which I think are some of the most exciting playoff games we've had in years. And we
Yeah.
have taken the narrative in the media. We've at least, if we haven't taken it back, we've actually earned our spot, right?
Hmm.
And I do
I think
think
so.
that
Yeah.
I think the Dodgers and the Yankees earn that spot of every time they play to be the big headline of the day,
Hmm.
right? Because you've got Shohei, you got Mookie, you got Aaron Judge, you got all the big stars in the game doing big star things. and I want to see what that actually looks like as we wind down the season. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it. I'm excited about it, but I will tell you, I will not be shocked at all. I will be more shocked if the Mets beat the Dodgers than I would be if Cleveland beat the Yankees.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I would be shocked, but I wouldn't be like, no way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the Mets just have so much momentum, and they are a good team as well. But I think once they got past the Padres, I think the Dodgers just they got the momentum. Like, okay, they knew the Dodgers or the Padres was going to be their biggest test, and just to get those guys going. And those guys haven't even gotten hot yet, to be honest. Like
No,
the
no.
main dudes, like
Yep.
Shohei,
Yep.
Mookie,
Well,
like
and
they hadn't
Freddie's
even
limping
gotten
around.
hot
Like
yet.
I hope Freddie can get well. I don't
I
think there's
know.
no getting well on that ankle for Freddie Freeman
You just got
until
to
next
tough it
year.
out, dude.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
just got to
pinch hit.
ride this all the way through the World Series.
Yeah, it's just a pinch hit. Big
Ugh.
spot. He can't run, but he can get that big base hit for you if he can. If I think it's the right ankle.
Yeah, it's
Um,
rough.
yeah. He looks rough running, so I
Yeah.
think it's just a pinch hit here or there. Against it really doesn't matter what Freddie Freeman hits anybody, but
Yeah.
any time that Dave Roberts wants to put him in there and pinch hit, I mean, Freddie Freeman is still Freddie Freeman, and to be respected when he steps to that plate. So, but as far I kudos to him and mad respect for him. I think all around the league respects the hell out of Freddie Freeman. I mean, it's the
Yep.
playoffs; you got to play through some things, and once the season is done, once we hold up that trophy, then I can go sit in the ice bath for 4 months. But you play till the wheels fall off. So, shout out to Freddie for
That's what he's doing.
pushing through that, man.
He's toughing it out. And shout out, you know what? Before we get out of here, shout out to the Dodgers utility because
Hmm.
I guess I want to say in game 5 in the ninth inning, they took Freddie out. They moved, I think the third baseman, was it Muncy to first base? They put Kiki at third base and
Hmm.
put somebody else in center field. And 2 of the 3 outs were tough plays at third base where Kiki Hernandez, who was like
Yeah.
playing center field, I think Tommy had, like they were doing all kinds of craziness.
No,
And
I
I'm
mean
like,
he can play
they
everywhere
moved
though.
they moved their center fielder to third base, and he makes 2 tough plays in the
Yeah.
bottom of the ninth to get to have them advance. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. They got guys that could play all over the diamond. They could put Mookie at short or
Yeah, Mookie's
second.
played in field, and
You know what I'm saying?
I think they
So
were saying, I can't remember who it was. It might have been CC. CC Sabathia was talking about the number of Major League Baseball teams that have all of their players basically playing out of position. So they
hmm
were talking about the Marlins. They were like, they got a bunch of shortstops playing all over the field. The Padres
literally.
have a team full of shortstops.
Literally starting nine. I was just about to say the
Yeah,
starting nine, besides maybe the catcher. I'm sure he
they
played
were all
shortstop
shortstops.
at some. Yeah, everybody as a shortstop.
Yeah,
It's
and like the
insane.
Dodgers have a ton of shortstops, so
Yeah.
it's just like everybody is out of position. So it was like if we track this, I haven't tracked this officially. It's something I probably should do, but the number of Major League Baseball teams that
Yeah.
have like these guys who are now starting in the major leagues in all these positions where they literally played all through affiliate ball in like a different position.
hmm
Have they ever asked? That's a good question. They ever asked you to switch positions?
No. They were like maybe I mean just left field center.
Yeah,
But or
but I mean,
left
think
field,
about like
right
a guy
field,
like
yeah.
O'Neal Cruz this year. O'Neal Cruz
Yeah.
played literally the entire season at shortstop, and then like the last month of the year, they're like, "Man, we're gonna move you to center field."
Because I think that's an easier transition. It's not easy to play the outfield by any means. Don't get that twisted. But I think a shortstop or an infielder, shortstop, second base, could transition to the outfield rather than a career-long outfielder transferring to the infield. Because now you're closer to the ball, you got less time to react.
Yeah,
You're in every single play in the outfield. Sometimes you can be aloof, and left fielder's not in every play, right fielder's not in every play. Ball's on the left side of the field, so you can kind of get away with maybe I don't want to say not paying attention, but in the infield, you're paying attention every pitch, every moment. You got to be on your toes. So I think that's a harder transition for an outfielder, career long outfielder to transfer to the infield than an infielder going into the outfield for sure.
well, look, we're going to leave it there. We're coming up against the hour. This has been awesome, Lewis, to talk to you. once again. I love having you here on Sundays. So make sure, look, book it on your calendars. Get ready to get your Sundays locked in. The game is going on as we speak. They are now in the top of the third inning. The Dodgers have a 3-0 lead right now. They're going into the bottom of the third now, so the Dodgers are going to come up to a hit. If we've learned anything about this playoff series, we know that, and we learn anything about the Mets, we know that you
Yeah.
got to get all your outs. Don't leave the
Yep.
Mets any out,
Yep.
because 3-0 for the Mets to come back in this game is absolutely nothing. Like they that's a one inning of work, couple of hits of work for them. So we're gonna get it out of here right now. We're gonna go watch the game. This is the Black Baseball Mixtape. Lewis Brinson, again, thank you, my man. We're gonna have you joining us as many Sundays as possible as we
Yes,
go
sir.
through the playoffs. And we will be back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back every Tuesday night. The original crew will be here on Tuesday with Flobo, April, Malik, and the crew. Then Thursday, we'll be back Thursday night and every Sunday. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays throughout the playoffs. Again, I want to thank all of our partners, Stilo Sports, the Players Alliance, Orintia 21, Numbers Game Scorecards, and Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds. If you want to join our absolutely free Black Baseball Mixtape group chat, just send us a message at the BBM Instagram page. We will send you the link. It's absolutely free. You can talk Black Baseball in there, and we're going to jump in there and talk for the rest of the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the podcast, Black Baseball Mixtape Podcast. We are out.